So, Jason, you and I both recently had the opportunity to attend the Gartner Risk and Security Conference. And we compared notes a little. I think we had a lot of the same impressions, and let's share them with the listeners here.
Tim, two big overarching topics. I would say that AI.
This one starts with an A, yes.
No surprises there,
No
but
surprise.
I think they've got the memo from our podcast that AI is the room, and I would go as far as to say that Gartner, in terms of even the way that they're presenting, the way that they plan their presentations, the way that the presentations are done, are AI generated as well, and it's actually to their benefit. I think that they've really sharpened up their material. And secondly, Tim, the big other theme that I caught there was post-quantum cryptography was a major theme at this conference as well.
Absolutely. To the point where I attended the six security trends for 2026 and beyond presentation. And all six of the trends were either AI or PQC.
Right.
I mean, this conference, we all expected. You and I didn't talk ahead of time. We expected just AI to be all over the place. I would say AI was 80% of the material at the conference. I mean, to the point where it was damn near an AI security conference.
I would actually go that far. Go that far. There was definitely some other security and risk, the title of the conference. Right. There were definitely some other security and risk topics brought up. There was obviously stuff that you and I did not attend that was really focused on CISOs and other audiences for their operational stuff.
Yes. But even then, when I did dip into some of that stuff and some of the material or talk to some of the folks on the floor, even then, all that material was, how do we apply AI to this topic? So even if there was a topic that was, phishing, it was either AI as a threat that's changing phishing, or AI as a tool that you use to help defend yourself against phishing. Like either AI as a threat or AI as a response was... Geez, apart from some of the real pure PQC stuff, I think in pretty much everything. I also think this is fully appropriate. So it was noteworthy to me how comprehensive, how just utterly ubiquitous AI is. Like someone painted the whole thing with an AI paintbrush, right? To the point where there weren't any gaps. On the other hand, and this is the important point, that was right. That was the correct way for the conference to be. Because every single aspect of our security lives, attacking and defending at this point, is transformed by AI.
Agreed, Tim. And I'm gonna then let's talk about the angle that they took with AI.
Yeah.
This was a security conference, security and risk conference, and they did take a security and risk angle to AI. It wasn't just AI in general, because that topic was even too big for this. But I would say this. Here is if I trying to avoid proprietary information and also trying to give people information on this podcast. Yeah. This is a sense I got. I don't know if I'm right, Tim. Give me your opinion on this. AI security as a topic, is the hottest brand new thing.
Yes.
And Gartner brought a lot to the conference, obviously brought a lot, but still not what I would call the real true cutting edge AI security where it's at this very moment. However, and here's the gigantic however, I don't think they could take it to the nth degree, because I saw a lot of eyes glazing over of security people who were not there yet.
I think that's a really good point, Jason. And you're bringing up a nuance that was missing from my coverage, and I think it's worth bringing up, which is we talked about AI. I talked about AI as an attacker, talk about AI as a defender. What you're talking about is AI as an attack surface, which is a very important topic. And I think I agree with you, was much less treated at this conference than those other two.
So Tim, let me put it into slightly different language as well, because there's been so much in the news. We're not a news coverage podcast, right, but we got to bring it up. You and I recently brought up Mythos, right, in our podcast, and that was one of the elephants in the room of the conference.
No surprise, came up all over the place, completely appropriately, as it should have. I mean, we were there. Gosh, I'm guessing you might have this better in your head, Jay, but probably within a month of the big Mythos announcement, we were standing at that conference. So it was fresh. Ink is still drying, kind of fresh, and all over the place.
Fable had not been released yet by that point of that conference.
Yes.
Now we've had Fable released and taken away since then.
Yes, absolutely. And so, and Mythos was clearly high on everybody's mind. I think there were two takes on Mythos I heard there. One of them was, gosh, Mythos is going to be it's the same thing we said. Mythos is going to be a game changer, both in terms of attackers and also in terms of finding and stamping out vaults, right? The other take I heard was, don't get complacent that Mythos is going to find all your vulnerabilities. You need to still be vigilant, and you need to be conscious of the fact that there will be other attacks that you didn't get through this method. And I think that was a great point to bring up, because when you look at the coverage around Mythos, it's like, oh, Mythos is going to find all the 0 days. And, I forget who it was, but someone was saying, nothing has ever found all the 0 days. I wouldn't count on that, which I think is a good, valid point for all of us to bear in mind as we're thinking about how Mythos changes the landscape.
100%. I heard all of it. So I'll give you one more, which is just reading the room, the hallway conversation, the lunchroom conversation, the body language when keynotes were being spoken about. I really think that the acceleration caused by AI, and I'm talking acceleration from multiple dimensions, the acceleration is beyond a large number of people who are attending that conference. I think it's not just the, oh, geez, there's lots of new things for me to learn. It's this is all coming so fast, and my budgets aren't going to stretch to all of it.
I'm thinking about sitting at lunch with strangers who are just regular attendees around a big round table and just asking them. This is the thing I do at these conferences. I just say, hey, what did you guys hear? What do you think is cool? And I just want to listen to how other people are perceiving it, right? And I'd say there was a general sense. Now, remember, these are people who paid a lot of money to go to a Gartner security conference. These are Gartner professionals, quite possibly CISOs, and if not CISOs, at least security professionals, full-time security professionals. And there was a strong sentiment around the table one of the days at lunch, which was, I can't keep up.
Right.
I don't know how to possibly take everything that's going on that I need to know and actually know it.
That's true to the point where during the big kumbaya, rah-rah, sis-boom-ba keynotes, high energy music and the whole thing, people are sinking in their seats, not rising from their seats. And it has to do with what you just said. Yeah. It's just too much for people right now.
Yeah, and I don't know how to solve that. I mean, to some degree, AI can actually help us with that. It's a tool that can help sort and make sense of things, right? It is one of the tools that will help us navigate that. But again, it's not going to be a panacea for that.
So I think it's great that the way that we've brought up AI topics on this podcast in terms of risk and security and everything else are right along the lines of the way that Gartner is producing.
It was noteworthy, I think, how well aligned those two were. And the other one where there was great alignment that we need to segue to was PQC. So AI, no surprise, right? We all expect it to be all over the place, and it was. I will admit, you may not agree, Jason. I'd love your take on this, but I will say that I was absolutely expecting PQC to be a topic. I was not expecting the amount of attention on PQC. If the show was 80% AI, the other 20% was PQC. And it was amazing to me how much there was.
Yeah, I had the benefit of course, because company I work for is a Gartner client, and I know some of the analysts who are very deeply ensconced there, and they had told me for a short while now that the amount of work that they're doing with their clients on the topic of PQC has gone up greatly, and therefore what you saw at the conference reflected that. Yeah. But I will agree with you that I didn't think that such a ultra niche topic that you and I cover on this podcast was going to become. This is a very main.
I thought there would be one well-attended session where they told us everything we needed to know, and it was going to be a big crowded room. There were probably 10 sessions. Like, it was so much PQC. It was amazing. Now, one of the things for people who don't attend Gartner or don't understand the inner workings, one of the things they do is they look at how many signups they have for sessions, and they will actually alter the agenda as time goes along to put more time into things that were getting more attention during pre-registration. So I interpret, I don't know this, I'm not a Gartner insider, but I interpret that they perceived a great deal of interest in terms of early signups and therefore expanded the agenda. That's my belief for what happened.
To the point where they, one of the most central PQC talks, they did many multiples of times within the conference. So and so absolutely. So it's both. It's the signups plus also call volumes amongst, they make decisions. And so AI and PQC, who knew? AI, absolutely. But as you say, PQC, and the way in which they covered it, I thought was very thoughtful in terms of it was very pragmatic for that audience. Yes. I like how they presented, because they didn't go into the overwhelming math. They didn't go into, they went right into, here's what you guys got to be thinking about right now. So I think the tone of it was perfect.
Yeah, there was a supposition that you knew what PQC was and why you needed it. I didn't see a single thing that said, I'm going to explain what a quantum computer is, or I'm going to define Shor's law, right? I didn't go to that session. I did not see that occur. And I don't think there was one. It was very much in what you need to do. And I agree with you. I walked in and I wasn't sure if I was going to see some kind of unrealistic, purist kind of approach. And this is some of what we sometimes get in the press. And you and I, in our various consulting on this here on the channel and in our day jobs, I think are always strongly advocating a pragmatic, risk-based approach. What I recently said to somebody is, if it is cheaper to get breached than to fix the particular thing that might get breached, then you're going to choose to risk the breach, right? And that's what people are really going to do in the real world. And so giving them coherent advice about how to do that optimally, as opposed to giving them some kind of pure fairy tale advice that won't actually occur, is the better way to serve those clients. And I felt like we very much saw a common sense, pragmatic set of advice that, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I'll just say that very closely aligns what we've been saying on this podcast.
And Tim, all true, except once again, I'm going to repeat, same thing I saw with a lot of the AI security talks. I didn't see a lot of, I got my head wrapped around this. Thank you very much. And, rising from the seat, like, I'm inspired. I got to get to the office now and get this solved because I know what to do. What I saw was a lot of people whose eyes were not glazing over. A lot of people were getting it, but they just didn't know how in the world they were going to fit it in with the rest of the work.
Yeah, it's not an eyes glaze over, it's a deer in the headlights, right? It's an, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of, oh my God, what are we going to do just around that conference in general, I think.
So, for risk practitioners, the very people who listen to this podcast, Tim, right? People who are in the trenches in one way or the other, man, I think, and this is what I told the Gartner analyst when I had a face-to-face. I said, there's a certain amount of sympathy I do have for people who are in the trench and have an unstretchable budget because they are facing utterly unprecedented times. And the Gartner conference really highlighted where the unprecedented parts were, AI and PQC. And I think that unless you're some sort of huge bank with, you've got to carve out the budget because it's existential to you. For everyone else, they're just being asked to do more with less. And now it's not just more with less, it's way, way more than anybody's ever dealt with in their careers with less.
Yeah, absolutely. And no end to that in sight. This is not a temporary thing. This is not an ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys thing. This is the new plateau.
I'm going to leave you with this one thought, Tim. I think you saw this as well. Gartner was not talking about Mythos and, any of those class of AI frontier models that are going to be happening in the next little while, of which Fable was, if you're involved with Anthropic's class swing, you've already got Mythos, you've been dealing with it. If you're everybody else, you got a taste with Fable. And the way that Gartner talked about it was not as the sky is falling. They really made the good point. This is as far as I'm going to go in terms of proprietary, what was talked about versus not. But I think it's interesting for you and I to focus on is the balance that it floats both sides of the ledger's boats. It's going to be a boon to the bad guy, but the defenders now have an equal, if not greater, opportunity to defend better.
Enormous ally that they lacked in the past. For sure.
So therefore, that is the problem that I want to reconnect it to what I said just earlier, which is if it's going to float all boats, that's great. The problem is, I think on the blue team side, they have less resources than ever to take advantage.
Right, and I'll go a step further. It's an asymmetrical conflict, and it always has been, right? And the blue team has to plug every hole, and the red team only has to find one hole. And so it's really an unfair competition. I think if you sort of up the stakes on capabilities, if you turn everything up to 11 everywhere, I suspect that advantages the red team more than it does the blue team.
I think for now it does. And I'll push it one last step, Tim, just because we always like the juicy end of the of the point. Tim, have we reached a point? I by the way, I wrote a Substack on this very topic a few months ago, called basically trying to ask the question of whether or not we're all technical Luddites now in this new age.
Sure.
And so at the Gartner conference, when I saw people sinking in their seats, it wasn't just, I don't have the budget. I think, this is my speculation, I think we've hit cognitive load limits for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And that was, again, the theme that was at lunch was, my head is full. I just don't even know how to process everything that's being thrown. Yeah.
There it is, Tim.
There it is. Thank you, Jay.